All right, let's get started. So welcome everyone. I'm Ken Cerini. Welcome to our first Cerini Connection of 2025. Totally thrilled to have with me James Rocker from Nerds That Care. He's the CEO over there. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about how to leverage the tool Microsoft Copilot to help streamline operations, improve productivity, enhance security for both nonprofits and for-profits. This is going to be a really fun interactive presentation. So to show how fun it is, James, why don't you do something to build up some energy here? What do you got for us?
Yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Good afternoon. I'm James Rocker. Like Ken said, I'm very excited to be here. And yeah, listen, let's get this party started, right? Everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's talking about right, the next best thing. And I'm going to go ahead and share the quick video here, and let's get this party turned up.
Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Stand still, that's the motto, yeah. Brand new bands for the auto, oh. Foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield guy, boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it out big. Said it, never had to shout it. They said I couldn't never do it, okay, how's this? Fit a week worth of work in a minute. Machine well oiled, you know how I stay efficient. To-do list written, I do this different. Hold up, wait a minute, I ain't finished. Okay. Look, flows the same now. Paved the way, the snakes and fakes are chased out. Back to back. I changed the pace now. Had to stack the cash until the bank's out. Straight to the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop.
It sounds
Wow.
like Copilot has a lot to offer and a lot of different components to it. Maybe, James, we can kind of get started first with maybe a quick summary of what Microsoft Copilot is and how you're seeing your clients using it. And by the way, if anybody, as we're going through this, if anybody has any questions, please throw them in the chat and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. So, James?
Yeah, sounds good, Ken. So listen, like, what is Microsoft Copilot? Is the biggest question, right? And what is AI? And that's what we're going to talk to you about today. So, in short, Microsoft Copilot is really your AI assistant to help you work better, work more with more productivity in mind, right? And to be a lot more efficient in your day-to-day tasks. And we're going to dive into that. So really, in short, it's really your AI assistant or your AI-powered assistant integrated into your Microsoft 365 world of applications in its short, simplest form.
So in the video, it showed like co-sourcing, co-this, co-that, co-everything. So talk a little bit maybe about how some of that um, co co-functioning works within Copilot and some of the other Microsoft Suite products.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. So Microsoft Copilot is very powerful. It can integrate into a majority of your applications that you're already using today. Applications like Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, Excel, and so on. So something so simple like, let's just say for email management, it can draft you a new email based on some information that you give it. It could take existing emails that you have in your Outlook or your inbox, summarize those emails for you, give you a nice little summary and breakdown, right? And it could also help you organize emails efficiently. So, maybe you were out for some time, maybe you were out sick or something, and you need Copilot to help summarize or help find maybe the most important emails that are relevant to whatever you're doing in your day to day. So it really can be an efficiency booster. It could even help with things like scheduling, analyzing calendars, maybe even proposing optimal times for meetings and things like that. Other ways like in PowerPoint. So somebody asked, was that video that we just watched made by AI? Most likely, yes. So you could do a lot with the AI tool set. And, really Copilot can turn raw data and raw ideas into really polished presentation with visuals, and kind of formatting that I know I am really bad at, right? So I'm really bad at some of these tools, for example, but Copilot has given me that leg up to be much better at what we're seeing today. So yeah, great question. A lot of good use cases that people can just use it. And it doesn't matter what type of business that you're in. And I know we're blessed here today with a lot of nonprofits here that are
I
serving
was
Long
going to say,
Island. So
what are
thank
some
you,
of
thank
the
you.
cooler applications that you've seen Copilot used for?
Yeah, so different types of integrations are certainly available. I think to keep it simple, just in the day-to-day use of the Microsoft Office products, I find that a majority of businesses out there, of people out there, individuals, are most likely utilizing the 365, world of products. So really just kind of starting there. We pose a couple challenges right now with where people's data lies and things like that. And we'll talk more about that when we get kind of into some of the security topics around, what we consider responsible AI, let's say.
So we're actually seeing on the, again, obviously we're accountants. What we're actually seeing on the accounting side, organizations and companies kind of utilizing it in conjunction with Excel to create reporting so that they can take raw data and use Copilot to convert that raw data into more usable, as you said, summarized information that's really good for executive reporting and everything.
Yeah, the some of the ways that you can manipulate Excel with Copilot. The first time I used it, it blew my mind. It was able to take financial data inside an Excel and give you insights, really, I guess is the best way to explain it. So it can take that data, it can build graphs and charts and really nice visuals on a separate sheet. It's actually incredible. Maybe if we have time at the end, I can show you one of the Excel videos because seeing it in real action starts to get the brain juices flowing and really starts to give people the ideas of how powerful Copilot can be in something so simple like Excel.
Somebody had asked, what's the difference between Copilot and Gemini?
Gemini is Google's AI and lives inside of their language models versus Microsoft is, if you don't know, Microsoft did purchase OpenAI, or at least part of the company. So I feel Microsoft was a little late to the game, honestly, and they had to get that jump start by their move with the purchase of OpenAI. So it is an OpenAI, original framework and platform and large language models that live really in the Microsoft world as opposed to Google.
So how do organizations and businesses, how do they kind of enable Copilot to work within the Microsoft 365 environment? Is there something special they need to do? Is it automatic? How does that all
Yeah,
work?
yeah. So unfortunately, it's not automatic, and this is a very it's a touchy subject because when you hear how easy it is to turn on Microsoft Copilot for your existing 365 world and environment, you can just go and do it. You could just go and turn it on. You could speak to IT and say, "Hey, could please turn on Copilot for me?" There is a charge. It's $360 for the year, just to give you an idea. There is a Microsoft fee that's associated with it, but it is very easy to turn on. Now, the downside for that is if you haven't done maybe a extensive audit through your 365 environment, what do I mean by that? So the second you turn on Copilot, if somebody in your organization is not supposed to have access to a set of data somewhere, let's call it HR data. That's the easiest sometimes for people to understand. People in your organization that are not in the HR department probably shouldn't have access to that data. So asking your IT provider, your gurus, your nerds, let's say, right? You need them to go through that environment and essentially really label it more so compliant and Copilot ready. So there's a bit of an assessment that we recommend that you do and you go through that environment to ensure that you're not allowing people in your environment to see data that they shouldn't be having access to. So super powerful, easy to turn on, easy to get implemented. You just kind of want to take a couple of the right steps before you go ahead and just turn something like that on.
When you turn it on, can you provide different access to different people in terms of the use of Copilot? So people will have different access levels within Copilot to be able to access different information or use it differently?
Yeah, so in short, to just kind of keep it simple, the answer is yes, but the permissions live inside the 365 tenant. So it's not really a Copilot configuration. It's more of a Microsoft tenant configuration. But in short, yes, you can limit people in your organization, right, to sensitive areas inside of data sets 100%. And, once you turn on Copilot for that user, whatever they have access to, just think of it like that Copilot crawls and basically goes through all that data and indexes it in something called the Microsoft Graph, actually, which is private just for you and your organization, by the way, right? And that data all sits there. So as long as you're giving Copilot access to that, it will be able to see and kind of report on all that data based on the questions that you ask it.
Based on what you just said, you said that information is private. I know the big fear that people talk about whenever they talk about AI is, are they kind of releasing the Kraken and letting all of that information kind of outside of their organization or outside of their company? Is there anything that we need to kind of worry about here with respect to that? Anything we need to do in order to ensure privacy of data so that that data doesn't kind of leak its way out?
Yeah, 100% can. And this is probably the biggest topic right now around it. Microsoft even has a dedicated team that is in charge of what they call responsible AI. So what Microsoft actually does is they basically put in place like an enterprise grade security is the best way I can describe it. It includes things like encryption, access controls, other types of method to keep the data secure. Microsoft 365 Copilot only runs inside your environment, really ensuring that the data doesn't leave your ecosystem. So like people are saying, is there a risk of company data being shared or exposed to other AI models, for example? And the answer is no. Copilot operates within that organization's tenant environment and doesn't share with any external sources. Now, right, that's what they're telling us. That's what we know. That's what we're being trained as experts. But the AI models in general are trained to be anonymized data sets to ensure that confidentiality through, your organization's data.
So when we're, again, obviously, Copilot is a Microsoft product. To what extent, or to what extent are you seeing people using Copilot in terms of within the internet and things like that, or it's not something that should be used inside the internet because that could create problems?
No, it's a great question. So right now, just without you having to purchase Copilot, you can go use Copilot today. Everybody on this call, thank you for being here, by the way. You can go use Copilot today. There is a free version, and it's stripped down, though. So the free version doesn't give you access to your data inside of your 365 tenant, but you can use it to still help you summarize an email or redraft an email or do some searching on the web. If you've done some recent searching on the web, maybe just in Google, for example, you're getting that new drop-down feed like you've never seen before. So you kind of get this AI answer, right, as opposed to just a general Google search like we were used to seeing, right? So yeah, so in short, you can use it just for like web searching and other aspects that we're talking about here today. But the paid version, you could use it twofold. You could use it the web, searching all internet data, and then searching your internal company data.
Is there more protection in the paid version than the quote unquote free version? Because you just said the free version is $360 or $360. So it sounds like it's all paid version, but
Yeah. Sorry if I misspoke there. So the excuse me, the free version is free. It doesn't
Okay.
cost you anything. You can go use it now. You could download the app on your mobile device. But to answer your question, yes, the paid version has much more security features built in. Because it touches your company data, there's a different rule set there that it follows, where the other is just scouring the internet for information, which could be,
And
by the way, not always true, right? So, even when you do something now with like an AI generated prompt or answer that it gives you, it'll even say, hey, this data has been AI generated. Please check for accuracy. So it's not always 100% going to be, fact or the actual answer that you really need, but it's pretty good.
sorry, I
You're
just keep
good.
getting a bunch more questions pop into
No,
my
no
head.
problem. Fire away.
So in terms of the fee that's paid, is that an enterprise fee or is that a per user fee?
It's a per user fee.
Per user fee, okay, got it.
Yep.
Obviously, everybody's concerned with things like FERPA and HIPAA and making sure that the integrity of information is maintained.
Mhm.
What's in place within obviously uh, any AI, but this AI in particular, Copilot, what's in place to ensure the confidentiality of that type of information, whether it's coming in through emails or however it's coming into the organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably the highest set of, compliance regulations like GDPR, for example. GDPR is one of the global standards out there that needs to be implemented to ensure robust data residency, things like encryption, other protocols that are processed behind the scenes. So Microsoft complies and is in 100% compliance with GDPR. So organizations can confidently configure Copilot to meet the specific needs of those compliance regulations or requirements that they have. So things like HIPAA, FINRA, SOC, all the other regulations that are out there, GDPR essentially trumps all of that. They went right to the top and said, this is the highest level of global standards. We're going to just start there, Microsoft said. So yeah, so people that are concerned about that have that automatic checkbox, right? A lot of times we're doing these compliance questionnaires for clients, right? Even things for like your cyber insurance, for example, you have to fill out these questionnaires. Well, you can ensure that if you have Copilot enabled in your environment, Microsoft has already made sure of those compliance items for you to pass with flying colors.
That's great. Let's talk about adaptability and maybe I don't know, customization of this.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about how customizable is this, and obviously it's machine learning aspects here. So how adaptable is it to kind of within the environment that a lot of our clients are working in?
Yeah, it has extreme capabilities around integrations with many applications that are out there. We use a good example, like even just like an onboarding process, for example. We have use cases where an organization has a simple onboarding form to get a new employee started, for example, fully automated, all done by AI Copilot, taps into their HR software, onboards that person, right? Goes into another third-party application, works through the logic and essentially sets that account up. So, we're hearing amazing use cases. One use case right now, he's a friend of mine, is a wonderful colleague, runs a company similar to ours, and we are working with them to hopefully bring this to Long Island. And what they are doing now, and it's in its infant stage, but nonprofits, for example, are starting to take advantage of things like assistant with grant writing or donor communication, right? So we're seeing now larger nonprofits are leveraging these tools for all these types of opportunities now that exist with the availability of these integration to tools. So, more to come with that. But in a sense, you're going to see probably the companies with a little bit of a deeper pocket opening up those APIs to allow the integration, with a product like Microsoft Copilot, for example. So we're seeing some really amazing use cases, Ken, and it's exciting, right? So being able to do a lot more with less, it's here. It's real now.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing instances where some of our clients are starting to explore how to better go through their CRMs and pull down data within their CRM so that they can more target their communications to their customers and donors and everything else, because that targeted communication has a much more effective result.
Yeah, no question about it. And for the tools that are lacking that integration, right? Sometimes there's an export, right? And not that you want to be exporting your data all over the place, but if you export it and it lives inside your Microsoft world, as an example, then you can go ahead and manipulate that data with Copilot, right? And maybe there's some things from an analysis perspective that we missed, right? We're humans. Let's let AI and some of the machine learning, let's take advantage of that. Let's utilize that to the best of our ability and maybe gain back some of the equity that we need in front of our people, right? In front of those relationships and those conversations that we want to have as facial interactions with humans now instead of machines.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of data that exists out there today, and to be able to go through that data and process that data in a efficient way,
Yeah.
kind of makes these types of products incredible.
Yeah, I want to share a quick stat with you. This was taken last year, so we're already well past this chart. But they say when a product or solution reaches 100 million users, it becomes ubiquitous. It took 16 years for the cell phone to hit 100 million users. It took our internet 7 years to hit 100 million users. Facebook was 4.5 years. ChatGPT was just 3 months. So 3 months to hit 100 million users is officially a record. So you could see that you want to talk about adoption, right? This is the fastest we've ever seen any type of adoption to 100 million users. So, if you're not using it, you're already behind, right? They say 87% of organizations that are not using some form of AI today are going to be left behind, right? And we don't want that to happen. That's why we're here today to share all of the advantages of what this can do for your organization.
So you bring up, other AI products like ChatGPT, and someone else brought up Gemini earlier. How does Copilot kind of compare to some of the other AI products out there? What are the strengths of Copilot versus some of the others? How do we use Copilot maybe differently from the others? Should you be using multiple? Talk to me about some of that.
Sure. I think if you really talk to some serious AI nerds, and we have a few here, they'll tell you that there are other better AI models out there. However, Microsoft seems to be the winner right now because it lives inside the environment in which we're doing all of our work every single day, right? So to be honest, I use ChatGPT quite often, but it's more so for conceptual things inside my organization, maybe how to documents, things that I'm more so searching the internet for, versus when I use Copilot. Inside the Microsoft world, I'm really using it more for my day-to-day tasks, things like my emails and meetings. I'll share an eye-opening thing that we discovered here at Nerds That Care last year, sometime around the summertime. We were using Copilot. We were in a pilot program, and we were having an in-person meeting. And what we decided at that in-person meeting is that we were really bad note takers after experiencing a remote meeting that was managed by Copilot. So when you have a Teams meeting, for example, and all the all the items and all the things that you talk about on that meeting are captured by Microsoft Copilot and are regurgitated in a wonderful note-taking format with, you can recap the meeting, you can list action items, you can list talking points about things that Ken said, for example, right? And you can come back to that anytime that you want. For me, that's some of the most powerful aspects of what Microsoft Copilot can do. You can't do that with ChatGPT. You can't do that with some of the other models. You have to really be outside your world to take advantage of that. So not here to discredit any of the other models that exist, but this one seems to be right. Just that leg up because it lives inside our environment, because it touches and is learning everything that we're doing on a day-to-day with something so simple as like our emails.
So it sounds like this is a really strong administrative and analytical tool, where maybe a chat GPT is maybe more of a creative tool.
Yeah, I
Um,
would I would agree with that. And there are some nice there's some nice plugins that they have for ChatGPT, for example. Like Dolly is the latest the image, it's an image generator. You have Elon Musk's now Grok, it's called, and you can do some wild stuff with images over there. So there's a lot out there, and people are playing with everything. There's some really good, learning sites out there. You probably see them on social media being served up to you in advertisements. Learn this for 20 minutes and then move on to that, and then this. Some of those learning softwares out there and programs are really great just to even get your feet wet with just understanding more around AI and how you can use it.
I think one of the benefits here also is that it does integrate into the whole Microsoft suite. So it really kind of functions really, really well within that whole Microsoft suite environment.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll share with you that there are amazing opportunities for nonprofits. It's much better pricing than a normal, private business, for example. There are rebates that you can get back. There are other opportunities like TechSoup and some other things that nonprofits should be taking advantage of. So those are all other conversations that are really important because, you might be saying to yourself, "Oh, I can't afford some of that, or it's just not in my budget." Trust me, we can make it work. Like there's a lot of opportunity with just some Microsoft rebates for nonprofits that I see them not take advantage of because, you know, you can't know everything, right? So it's some of the areas that we have expertise in here to help out with a lot of that.
How about the use of Copilot to extract data, let's say from documents or screenshots and stuff like that? I'm assuming that it can do all of that too.
Yeah, it sure can. So it'll crawl PDFs, it'll crawl images. It's super powerful. So yeah, it's incredible. One thing we have in development here at Nerds, I'll give you a little secret. We're working on our own AI bot, and it works really, really well. And I put a document in our world yesterday around 3 o'clock, and then I asked the chat bot around 3:30 some verbiage that I knew was on that PDF, for example, and it gave it back. It gave it right back to me in about 5 seconds, and I was blown away. So really, really powerful stuff.
So in your day-to-day life, and then so we're talking about a lot of the positives. We'll talk about maybe some of the negatives in a minute, but in
Sure.
your day-to-day life, what are some of the key ways you use Copilot to kind of maybe spark some ideas for the group?
Yeah, absolutely. Just maybe I need to write a difficult email. I'm not an English major. I don't have the best, my emails aren't the greatest. And now they are, so trying not to make ChatGPT make me sound and Copilot make me sound too smart. But, helping with just drafting some difficult emails, for example. Um, I remember the first time I used it, it was, early last year, and I said, draft an email to my staff, thanking them, for how hard they're working, and we're going into this holiday weekend, and spend some time with your families and your loved ones, and kind of unwind and unplug. Like I knew what I wanted to say, and then when it gave me back the results, I said to myself, that's exactly what I wanted to say, and man, it was like near perfect,
You actually
and it
sound like
was.
a cool boss.
Yeah, I'm a cool boss. Thanks, Ken. Well, at least they tell me that. So yeah, listen, it's something that you want to be genuine about it, right? I'm always nervous about, hey, is this not going to make me sound authentic or genuine? And you got to put your own words in it. It's everything that you're doing, at least running a business, has to come from the heart, right? Everything that we're doing here is all about that kind of stuff. But so you got to just have that balance. But something so simple as that, just writing and drafting an email and now you can voice talk to the products and just you don't even have to type anything. So even example, hey, draft me an email thanking Ken Cerini for allowing me to be on his webinar today, and all the staff that put all the hard work in setting this up today. That's probably coming out later, so spoiler alert.
Even some of the things that we've used it for is things like setting up social media campaigns
Yeah.
and outlining when things are going to be sent out and kind of what that social media campaign will look like. Some of the marketing materials we put out have gone through the AI
Yeah.
funnel. So yeah, I mean,
Make
there's a lot
this,
of that type of stuff.
I want to say this on LinkedIn, make this post sound super exciting. It'll even give you the emojis, the stars and the rocket ships, and it puts all that in there for you. Exactly what you tell it, or ask it to do. It will do that for you and spit that out. So yeah, so social media posts are a big one. Drafting emails to clients. In the nonprofit world, those donor letters, the ask for donations, things like that are really, really helpful, especially if you're struggling with any kind of writing style or it's not your strongest point. This now makes you a rock star overnight.
And I think the other, as we talked about earlier, it's going to be a lot of that raw data that's sitting in Excel and being able to take that raw data. You won't have to know all of the Excel formulas. You can kind of use this as a way of really just pulling that data together in a way that's going to be useful. It's going to be much more
Yeah.
intuitive. And I think we've just kind of scratched the surface of all of this stuff. And I think, in the next, couple of years, the capabilities of this are going to be so much more than they are today.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. I completely agree. It's just the tip of the iceberg right now.
So we're going to have to kind of revisit this in a year.
Yeah, maybe even 3 months from now. We're not sure, right? So, absolutely, absolutely.
So obviously, no tool is perfect. And I said we would get to some of the limitations on this. What do you see as some of the limitations in your playing with the software? What have you seen as some of the limitations with respect to this?
Yeah, certain things in Excel still puzzle me a little bit. I'll kind of talk in context for what something that we were doing here. So picture it, I have an Excel list of all computer hardware at a client site, and I was asking it specific questions around the data, for example, and just one of my date columns, it didn't like the format of that, and while it could read it, I was very disappointed. It didn't give me the results. Like for example, I asked it, show me all the devices out there that are out of warranty as of January 1st, 2025, and it was like, nah, not today, man. Can't do that for you. And I was like, really? Like, and but at the same time, you got to look in the mirror because you can't tell me out there that you don't know someone that is a really bad Google searcher. I think I'll use my dad as an example. He's a little bit older than me, and he's not the best at searching the internet. And I would ask him, well, why did you type that in there? Why don't you ask it this? So there is what we call prompting, right? And there's actually, you're going to hear about this in college now. They're called prompt engineers. It might even be a degree now, and you
That
could
means
take
they show up on
classes.
time.
You could probably have AI fill in for you in the class, but I don't know how effective that will be. But yeah, like prompt engineering. So like, are you good at prompting and typing the right question into the AI model? That's a thing, and it takes practice. So the first time you do it, you're going to be like, well, this stinks. That's not exactly what I was looking for. Re-ask your question again, right? So there are these there are these learning sessions and sites out there. Plus, inside of the Copilot product, there's called Copilot Studio, and there's a whole learning section that you can practice these prompts and get better and better. So yeah, so sometimes I kind of question, was it me? Did I do something wrong? I know AI knows everything, but yeah, that was frustrating for me, and it was really more so working with Excel. Um, we asked it to do some imagery for a PowerPoint I was working on, and the image was crazy. Like there was a leg coming out of like the side of a person, and I was like, that's weird. That's not what I want to showcase. So, weird stuff sometimes. So it's not perfect, but a couple use cases there that were real for us in our day-to-day life over here at Nerds.
So a couple things. So when we send out, which we will be sending out the video to everybody who participated and everybody who signed up, when we send out the video, are there some materials that you can put together in terms of where people can go and look to find these courses or cases that they can kind of look at, or some other types of materials like that, maybe some case studies or little videos of how people are using this and things like that? Any of that stuff that you can kind of share, I think would be totally useful, so that when people kind of go beyond this webinar or whatever, they
Yes.
actually have some more information that they can do a little more research on their own.
100%. We're gonna send you takeaways from this. We're gonna send you videos. We're gonna send you links on where to get started, how to get started. If you want to reach out to us, we are here. You may have an IT situation already. That's great. Challenge them with some of these things that you heard today. They should be more than willing to help you get going in this world. So, and at the end of the day, we're right here if you need something. So, but yes, we will get all this material into your hands so you can really sink your teeth into and start asking questions for your organization, right? Things like, what is your data strategy? What does AI look like for us? What are some of the inefficiencies that we're doing here in our business every day? What are some of the repetitive tasks? Can we automate those types of things? Yeah, so I challenge all of you on this call today to start asking yourself some of those questions, and really, making sure that you're giving your IT people a challenge here to help, have them help you move your organization forward with your AI strategy.
Yeah, I think a lot of business owners or nonprofit leadership, I think they get caught up sometimes in trying to get through the day-to-day. And I think if they can just dedicate a little bit of time and pull together a technology team that kind of can work in terms of developing what their systems are going to look like with respect to how they're going to utilize AI on a go-forward basis. What are the protocols and use policies that they need to be putting in place with respect to these? I think that's all going to be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeing organizations already now have some form of AI responsible policy. It's probably going to become a standard to have. It's going to just be like another one of these line items on your cyber insurance policy, to make sure like you're not leaking data, you're not, just maybe stealing somebody else's data, for example. So yeah, this is going to be a big thing. You're going to hear more about all the security and responsibilities around what we're talking about now.
How does Copilot work with respect to other languages? How good is their translation components of the software?
Yeah, so Copilot supports multi-languages. It integrates into all the tools. So it'll translate whatever languages to whatever languages. They say accuracy may vary depending on certain dialects or language complexities, but for the most part, it handles it really well. So, you have a document in German and you need to translate it to English, it will do it. Chinese, Japanese, and so on and so forth. So it'll handle all of that. It's pretty wild. I'm seeing some cool tools now. CES was a few weeks ago. That's the cool tech conference that happens out in Vegas. And I saw there's glasses now that can help you have a conversation with somebody in another language while just standing in front of them and having a conversation. So the technology is there. It is really impressive, and certainly it's going to change the dynamic on how we probably work globally.
You talked about the fact that people are already developing some plugins and stuff for Copilot. Where or how do people find out what sort of plugins are available, and what are some of the more cool ones you've seen?
Yeah, so I haven't played personally around with too much, just other things that are outside of what our organization needs. Um, but what we'll do is we'll send some materials, but inside of the Microsoft Studio application, you can go in there and there is a list that you can access for some of these cool plugins. Things like calendar apps, other types of apps that hook into video, things like that. So yeah, there's some pretty wild stuff. The list is growing every single day. But truthfully, I haven't had a chance to play around with many of those unless it's supporting some of our clients or ourselves at this time. But I'll send a list about around what's there that people can hopefully resonate with and then explore further.
And what level? I mean, I understand you said that you guys do it, and other IT companies kind of work with Copilot and can help work through issues that individuals might be having when they're going through this. What sort of support system is in place over at Microsoft?
Yeah, so good question. So Microsoft offers lots of webinars. We're one of their partners that is doing co-led webinars with them. We have three more webinars like this coming up. We'll get that information into your hands because they could be very useful. There's a lot of user guides. There's a lot of in-app tutorials. And again, there are other like third-party training partners that are available, but there's a lot inside of the Microsoft ecosystem already that once you kind of turn this on, you have access to. If you wanted to turn on, let's say you had 50 people in your organization, you could turn it on for one person. You could turn it on for the executive director, for example, and just get started that way. You can turn it on for your IT person and just get started that way, right? And have access to this information. So it's pretty great how Microsoft doesn't kind of hold you hostage to turning it on for everybody in the organization. So there's a lot there. Nerds That Care can be certainly a resource in this area for you, and just to get you started or to help partners and point them in the right direction.
So we're kind of running out of time here. So kind of end this with where do you see maybe Copilot going in the future? I mean, you work a lot in the technology world. You see where Copilot has gone in the last, 6 months to a year. Where do you see the next 3 months, 6 months, year in the growth of Copilot?
Yeah, well, certainly we could all probably here predict that it's just gonna get enhanced further and further with the functionality. We can probably expect improved kind of navigation of the AI models, deeper integration with some of the Microsoft tools. So while the integrations are pretty awesome right now, we're predicting that you're going to be able to do a lot more with Excel, for example. So some of those challenges that I was having in the example I explained a little bit ago, I don't believe that those things are going to be a problem any longer. So as the model starts to learn your data and gather a deeper understanding about how you work and how you operate, it's going to be able to adapt to your work styles, to your work day, and that's really exciting. I think people are often concerned about, is AI going to replace my job? And I think, in some cases, we're going to see maybe it get replaced, but not necessarily what you're doing in the day to day.
It could have my job.
I love that. It's going to get enhanced, right? It's going to enhance everything that you do. People even compare the price of it to a free lunch. And we love pizza here on Fridays. And I asked the guys, I said, would you rather have pizza or the Copilot license? And the whole world, by the way, 88% of the people choose the Copilot license over a free lunch any day of the week. So people want this. They want it in their organization. They're asking for it. If they've used it in another organization, they come to your organization, they probably are going to talk about it and wonder why they can't can't use it if you don't have it in place. So really exciting stuff, Ken. Really exciting times ahead. Certainly getting businesses and all these wonderful nonprofits to to do more with less, right? That's what it's about.
I really, really appreciate your time, James, today. This was awesome. Learned a lot. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. For the nonprofit or nonprofit board members in the room, don't forget we have our Nonprofit Trends webinar coming up on January 29th, where we'll be digging into some of the deeper trends within the nonprofit sector. So definitely join that. Also on February 4th, we have the winners of the New York City Imagine Awards doing Let's Imagine, where you'll be able to ask nonprofit organizations questions about what makes them effective and everything. So we hope to see you there at both of those events. We'll be sending out more information about them. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.